Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Excellencies, my name is Hamid Masheye and I am from Awdal, one of the 18 regions in the last administrative units of the Somali Republic in 1991. And today I would like to share my perspective on yesterday's meeting between the President of the Somali Republic, Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo, and the secessionist leader, Musa Bihi. In fact, I want the world to hear the voice and the aspirations of the Awdal people that was blatantly silenced in that meeting. The people in the Horn of Africa are bound by geography and blood. Our countries are an integrated system whose parts complement one another, and we are also bound by blood. Now, genetics has proven what was always visible on our faces and bodies. The Horn of African nations have a similar distribution of both maternal and paternal DNA, and we are also bound by history. That's why we'll either prosper or perish together. We also believe that the factors I mentioned are necessary conditions for cooperation, brotherhood, or sisterhood, but they are not sufficient. More important than these factors are justice, democracy, and freedom. Genuine freedom of the nations in the Horn of Africa is a must if we want to unite our people as a bloc that encourages its citizens to release their latent energies, not for destruction, but for the construction of vibrant societies that thrive and prosper. That's why we, the people of the Awdal region and the Gabila district, hereafter called Awdal, oppose the fragmentation of the Somali Republic. We believe that the Somali Republic, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Eritrea are capable of laying aside their differences. We believe that we can get the will of initiating a process that will eventually lead to cooperation and economic integration. And we believe that we can get the courage of freeing our people from morbidity and malnutrition, from hunger and starvation, from illiteracy and underdevelopment. Therefore, we oppose vehemently all the forces that are trying to sidetrack us from these noble goals, and instead are trying to lead us into Hobbesian world where the laws of the jungle rule. That's why we oppose the Hargeisa group who claim to rule the northern region of the Somali Republic. Their claim to that region is illegal and is contrary to the spirit of the times. As we all know, nobody can inherit colonialism and substitute a black face for the white face. What we, the people of Awdal, fought for was to free our people from all the vestiges of colonialism. And the region that was once illegally called British Somaliland got independence on June 26, 1960. Immediately, the label British and land were removed from the name of the region, and what remained was what we were always called Somalis. The people of Awdal are not the descendants of the British, although there's nothing wrong with that, and our people and our destiny is intertwined with the people in the Horn of Africa. That's why we oppose the claim of the secessionist group or groups who are trying to drag our people into a dungeon of misery and a foxhole of deprivation. That's why we oppose any group that incites perpetual hostility among the Somali brothers and sisters. Like most Somalis, we also yearn for peace, prosperity, and justice. We are eager to get our country resurrected from its ashes, and we want to see the bright blue Somali flag once again fluttering among the flags of the world states. We are tired of war, petty squabbles, and terrorism. We, like most Somalis, want to reclaim our lost glory, but each time we are let down by short-sighted leaders who value experience and self-interest over the national interest. That's why Farmajo and Musa Bihi's meeting is doomed to failure. The meeting is a fake reconciliation effort of mirrors and smoke, and everybody knows that. Farmajo's term is coming to an end. And technically, it's a lame duck. His intention is not to bring the Somali people together, but it's part of a self-aggrandizing campaign to win re-election. When he's a very popular president, his popularity now is at its lowest. That's why he spends millions of dollars to bribe internally displaced poor people to come to the streets and stage demonstrations supporting the government. Call that self-adulation, call that cult of personality, but it is a crime nonetheless committed against the Somali people. Why do I say it's a crime? If squandering the taxpayers' money and using it for personal gain, then if that's not a crime, what's a crime? The meeting taking place in Djibouti now is a part of Farmajo's overarching political calculus to win re-election. If that's not the case, we have a lot of explanations to do and explain why the pro-secessionist meeting was held this time in Djibouti. Knowing that symbolism is very important in politics, how do you explain that a president of a country elected to govern the whole state limits himself to represent half of the country, the South, in order to ponder to the needs of an extremist elements that are working hard day and night to divide the country? Also, favoring our one faction over all the others, it's not the sign of a statesman or a stateswoman. As you all know, the northern part of the Somali Republic had 5 administrative regions: Awdal, Waqooyi Galbeed, Togdheer, Sool, and Sanaag in 1991. Musa Bihi, the secessionist leader, hails from one of those regions. And for 30 years, the majority of the people living in the other regions spoke clearly and expressed unequivocally their desire to be part and parcel of the Somali Republic. Yet, it's unfortunate that the very president of the Somali Republic ignores their desires and denies their Somaliness, and tries to carry favor with the very elements that are trying to force other tribes to secede. Instead of trying to help those who want peace and the unity of the country, Farmajo and Hassan Ali Khaire chose to deal with the leader of the secessionist group, Musa Bihi, and crowned him to be the king of the northern region. That's the very warlord who massacred thousands of people in Dila and Boroma in Awdal on February 4, 1991. Musa Bihi is the very leader who destroyed Bur'a and committed egregious human rights abuses in Kalshale and Sanaag. So when the Somali government intentionally disregards the rights of the unionist regions, then it's adding insult to injury, and it's rewarding and abetting the continuous crime against the inhabitants of these regions. Let me remind you that in January 1991, Ali Mahdi and Umar Arte disbanded the Somali army and the police force and ordered them to hand over their weapons to the SNM and the USC, a euphemism for their respective tribes. That led to anarchy, massacre, and the destruction of the state institutions. From that day on, the Somalis are unable to create a viable state because of bad feelings, mistrust, and suspicions that were created then. Now, President Farmajo is leading the Somali Republic into another cycle of war that nobody knows when it will end. Lies, backroom deals, ignoring the rights of the people, empowering the secessionist group, and handing international donors donations allocated to the 5 regions in the north to the very people who are oppressing them and forcing them at a gunpoint to secede is a callous disregard of the human rights of the unionist groups in the north. We, the people of Awdal, voluntarily formed a union with our Somali brothers and sisters, and not with the secessionist groups in Hargeisa, and we created the Somali Republic. And since the successive Somali government, including the current one in Mogadishu, are denying that Awdal is a Somali region, and since the Somali government is throwing Awdal to the wolves and forcing us to secede from the country, then we have no choice but to ask the United Nations, the Arab League, and the African Union to give us a special status till the day the Somali government respects the 1960 social contract among the Somali people. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and goodbye. Thank you.